Good morning. Put this in here. Should have done that before I did that, but what the heck. And we are just going live here, so. Okay, there we are. Now we test the mic, because I still haven't got a camera that apparently works, although here we are. So, pardon the noise that comes up that way. There we go. So we can now shut the mic off because I know it's working. Okay, good morning. Well, in all fairness, nobody else is here. Primarily, I suspect because of the fact that, well, we're not 8 o'clock yet, so there won't be anybody here, which works out convenient in some ways. I just have to get a few things out of my way. So, now I find out how well my day is going to go, which ought to be entertaining. Matter of fact, while we're doing that, why don't we pull up this one? Okay. Okay. Now, we have to find a particular book here. Because it's time to get started on this other one as well. It's not like I wasn't writing enough of them in the first place, but what the heck? Where are we here? That one. Nope, that's actually wrong. It'll be easier to find it this way. Because we're just... Oh, no, that's me. So, what am I looking for here? Go to desktop. Okay. Into there, and not horoscopes. We go to... Oh, wouldn't you know it? They're not actually here. So where, pray tell, did I put them? Oh, that's because we go back to desktop and we find, I think it'll be under files. Where it is, must be under files. Under there, I think. Should have actually done this beforehand. And since that's the case, we will do it oh, that was wrong. We'll do it the easy way. Takes a little bit of time, but find. Nope. I actually should have done this before I got on, but what the heck. What? Yeah, I wonder where is that? Oh, goes JPEG. Not looking for JPEG in all fairness. What if I find it under documents? Right, this way. Believe in. Now, oh, you won't find it there anyway. Look under there. Okay, what do we got? Trying to find things that don't add up. There it goes. Now it's finding it. That'll make it possible. So, this is called just getting things organized while I'm puttering around. That's my garbage can, so it can go down there. Now, things that I've got to get worked on today. The biggest one is finding the one that I'm really looking at is starting another book. Starting writing another book. Don't get me wrong, I've been making really good headway as far as the overall writing goes. But I do want to get back to I've got to do that. Yeah, I'll have to send some of those off today. Now, what is Frontier? Shrink that one down, and what do we got going on here? Ah, lo and behold, good morning. How are you doing? Just getting a few things organized here. One day I'll figure out how to make things work in the right fashion, but so far, no luck. Good morning, Wallamoth. You know, I figured the only way to really make things happen is to really sit down and go, okay, this is how there is a very simple way of becoming successful, and it works for every situation I know of, every company I've ever talked to, every person I've ever dealt with. This same formula, and I'm actually in the process. I'm just looking for the template for it. I've written these two books here. Okay, this one here being the first one that gave me the backbone of what I do. Okay, of how I turn my life around. Where are we here? Cannot see what I wanted, so that did not come up the way it was supposed to. There we are. Shrink that back down to normal size. There we go. Oh. No, I've been functionally busy today. And the last couple of days I haven't been able to sleep. Not well anyway. But that's okay. You know, it's like I told somebody like I told somebody in the grocery store one day. You know, I'm standing in line and this guy complained about what I was wearing, which was pretty much what I'm wearing now. Right? The shirt might have been different. I don't know. But the guy looks at me and he made a rude comment to me about the way I was dressed. And I looked at him and I says, look, it's not like I'm a fashion statement. Well, the girl right behind me, she pipes up and goes, you are so. Not a good one, but you are a fashion statement. You know, no, I started a new program today last night to try and actually rebuild my teeth. Now, one of two things is going to happen. It's one of three things. It's either going to work, it's going to kill me, or it's not going to do anything. We'll figure out which. The reason I put it that way is because when I take a look at it, you know, Modern medicine, every concoction I've tried that somebody's put together, that mankind has put together, has not worked the way they said it was supposed to. I tried a concoction about a year ago that was supposed to give me a hand to drop the weight, because all these newfangled doctors were saying, cutting down on how much you eat and cutting down on and increasing your exercise won't work to drop weight. And I'm looking at it going, well, the math is all wrong on that. But I looked into the research this guy was using, and it seemed reasonable. So I ordered the medication. Cost me a small fortune, but I ordered this herbal concoction. The research seemed reasonable. Started taking it. I forget what it was called at this point. But I started taking it, and 4 days later, I had a heart attack. I'm thinking this was not a good way to lose weight, But no, this book here, Believe in Yourself and Follow Your Dreams, is the backbone of how I turned my life around. Then I wrote this neat little one here called Believe in Your Business and Follow Your Dreams. Well, I've now started putting the story of the book together, the third one in this series. And like I said, again, this will contain 12 books in it in all. Okay, but the one I've just started working on, that I've just started putting to paper, is one that's going to be Believe in Your Success and Follow Your Dreams. Now, the simplest way to look at success is this. I did say there was a simple formula for it. Well, it starts with a very simple outlook. Okay, and that simple outlook is this. The formula for success, and it applies across the board as near as I can figure. Success equals belief plus focused effort. Meaning, if you believe you can become successful and you put the effort into it, you'll pull it off. Kind of falls under the same category of whether you believe you can do something or you believe you cannot. Either way, you're likely to prove yourself right. Although there are some extenuating circumstances that you should take into consideration. Things like everything natural is not good for you. And there are certain times when gravity will defy what your belief is. And if that's the case, you could be in serious trouble. But now, in my case, I had to take my thought process from being just an individual to actually embodying the idea that no matter who I am, no matter how well known I am, because let's face it, I'm just plain not that well known. I mean, right now I've got, what do I got here? Go on to here, and right now I'm still hovering below 300 subscribers. However, and I put the page down, of course. However, I made some notes here this morning, actually. What do we got? And yeah, now I'm not even going to be able to find it in a hurry. Well, that figures. Oh, there it is. See, I went through my Facebook and what have you, right, just to find out what kind of totals I was looking at. On LinkedIn, I right now have 20, what do we got here for total? This is what's called pointless extra information for you. 64 plus 966 plus. There we go. Good morning, Malu. Glad you could make it. I have a total followers on my social media of a whopping 3,500, roughly. So I am not a big fish by any functional stretch. That's just the reality behind it. But I had to bring myself to accept the fact the sad part, well, I agree with you there. I'm just not competing with the fearmongers. I'm looking at this going, people have literally thousands, or in some cases, millions of people watching them play video games. Now, I'm not exciting. I'm not going to sit here and play a video game. Okay. I will tell you that when I started my Dungeons and Dragons campaign last Sunday, okay, for the first time in years, one of the characters and one of the players had an absolute smile on his face. Right, he thoroughly enjoyed himself for the first time in years. Of course, he's been playing Dungeon Master. Now he gets to play a character. Okay. Good morning, Lazarus. How you doing? You know, my own son, who is one of the other gamers, is now looking forward to the game tomorrow. Okay, so I mean, we are looking at record breaking, and the funny thing with this particular campaign, if you don't know anything about Dungeons and Dragons, that becomes a little bit of a problem. But what it boils down to, it was described to me by a psychologist one day. But basically what we do is sit around a table, if you will, an imaginary fire pit. The game master lays out the story, and then the players fill in the pieces. Right. Well, I laid out the story, starting all of the characters off in a petri dish. Okay. In other words, they didn't know anything about the world. They still don't, in all fairness. But they all are looking forward to it now. Well, you gotta understand Wallet Mouth. I ended up, when I was actually starting to play D&D, the church would tell us we were evil incarnate. We were the devil's minions. We were doing all sorts of absolutely insane things. Okay. And some of us were doing insane things. There's no question there. Right. But the church never complained when the SCA started up, at least not from what I gather. SCA, the Society for Creative Anachronism. The way we look, I used to run with them, and I ran with them for 3 years. Right, and really what that boiled down to was live action playing, you know, and looking at the Middle Ages as we wish it had been. In other words, we had all the proper sanitation that they didn't have back then. Oh, I know. You know, I've been called worse. You know, heck, I've been called the devil incarnate. Well, you know, here's the funny thing. I take that whole scenario, that whole Dungeons and Dragons and role-playing, and that is what I use to write novels with. The book that I'm just starting to actually put to paper, okay, is Believe in Your Success and Follow Your Dreams. Now, there are 4 ingredients to success. Okay, I've already given you the saying that goes with it. By the way, if you like this video, absolutely subscribe to us. You know, we are on regularly. And apparently the subscriptions, the likes that come up on the video, you know, do apparently have something to do with the algorithm for how easily it comes up. And the reality for me is this is my way of stepping out of the darkness, out of the shadows, and really starting to make a doorway, make an impact. Okay. Yeah, I'll leave that alone, Wallet Mouth. I will leave that one completely alone. But, you know, I take a look at that and I use those to turn around and write the novels. Now, here's the thing. Where it comes to this, believe in your success. 4 things you have to have. Okay. And I just started putting it to paper yesterday. I've had it sitting in my head for a long time. But you've got to have a purpose. Why are you aiming at success? You know, what is the reason for that success that you're aiming for? Okay. Now, that success has to be here. I will tell you that you start off with a thought. Okay, it'll get into here. This is what I'd like. But in all fairness, until you get to that point where it's a heartfelt imperative, the odds of you actually making it happen okay, are not good. It can be done, but it doesn't tend to work out as easily. So you get the heartfelt thing. You've got to have a purpose. Why are you aiming for success? In my case, it's simple. I'm looking for a way that I can just carry on writing and have the books actually provide an income. Okay, provide an income that I can retire on. This is what that's where I'm heading with this. Okay. Now, I'm not the best writer out there by any functional stretch. Okay. But that's where it starts. Now, once you've got a purpose, and by the way, this will all be in that book, all of this stuff. Okay. Probably in a little simpler detail. But you've got to have a purpose. Why are you doing it? You basically answer the first 5 questions. Why are you doing it? What are you doing? Okay. Who are you doing it for? And I will tell you, if you're aiming at success for any purpose other than yourself, okay, if you put somebody, I'm going to be successful for my kids. Okay, that's a great idea, and I do wish you the best of luck with it. But I will tell you, if you're successful for you first, your heart will be more in it, in all likelihood. You may not believe that, and that's okay. This is just the way I see the world. And we're going to run into interesting problems. So how about if we shut a couple of things down we don't require? Because I just noticed the video paused. And don't know entirely why. That might be an issue. There we go. That might be simply an issue of the fact that my camera says it doesn't exist. But you've got to have a purpose. If you're doing this for anybody else or for anything else, I've watched people go, I'm going to be successful because I'd like the money that comes with it, or I'd like the fame. I'll tell you, doesn't work out the way you'd like. I know of one person in particular, and there's lots of them out there. I know of one person in particular that turned around. Her husband was getting a bonus check of $100,000 a year, a bonus check, and they couldn't make ends meet. Okay. Conversely, I was talking to a chap on the street that was completely unemployed. He was homeless. Okay. With a bank balance in excess of $900,000 in the bank. Money does not tell you if you're successful. I saw a post and I forget, he was a soccer player out of Senegal. And the guy put a post up because he was getting flack for not driving a fancy new car. And his comment was pretty much the same way I look at things. Okay. I look at it and go, I do like the finer things. But, this guy, he says, look, why do I need to buy a fancy car? The car I'm driving, actually, in all fairness, it was about a phone. He was using an old phone, right? He says, why do I need a better phone? This one does exactly what I require, right? Why do I require a bunch of fancy cars or a couple of jets or a mansion the size of a football stadium? He says, I don't require that. He goes, I grew up on the street. I grew up in bare feet, barely having enough food to eat. He said, why do I need to broadcast to the world? Here's all the stuff I have, instead of turning around and helping other people. And that brings me to that other little thing I was working on. This little issue here. Now, did I actually put it in here? I think so. Bingo. Okay. I've shown you this before. This is my folder for corporate structure. Now, as you can see, I have a very bad habit. Now, this is what I talk about when I'm looking at changing your life. Okay, becoming successful. Do it in simple fashions. Okay, but this Senegalese soccer player, he goes, why do I require all this stuff on my hands? Why do I require so many so many rings and necklaces and what have you, to broadcast to the world I've got money. Okay. He said, there are so many people out there that need help. He said, I've taken my money, I've built stadiums, I've built hospitals, I've built schools. This is literally the same way I'm looking at the world. Yeah, Wallenmoth is just saying, there was a rich guy that was homeless, used to sit on the pram in High Street, used to say Mia, and became a legend. Oil portrait on City Hall. He was, and that's just it. Being one of the biggest things that you got to look at is be happy. Okay. Now, being happy does not mean making everybody else feel sad. Okay. I mean, I get an absolute, I'm looking at the number of people that post things to go, look at how miserable everybody is. Here's photos these people don't want you seeing, but I'm going to show them to you. Okay. See, the funny thing about it is when you look at success, you've got to have a purpose. Why are you doing it? In my case, I do have a major task I'm looking at. Okay, we take a look at what I'm building. Okay, and right off the bat, and this is literally effective immediately. Okay, I figured I had to upgrade things. I think I told you about this, last week. I had to upgrade things. It actually cost me to run my business safely. It's going to cost me $550 a month. Okay. To run my household, because I just went and bought a new car. And by the way, I don't need a whole bunch of gaudy stuff, but I do need a car that I don't have to worry about because I'm not a mechanic. Okay. And I've got no interest in becoming one. Right. So because I did that, I currently require to run my house, I require $3,200. But once I pay the bill and pay the phone off, it won't cost me that much anymore. I'll be back down around the $2,500 mark. Okay. But here's the thing. Effective immediately. Okay. Where it comes to my to the profit sharing of my business, in other words, the sales of my books, 50% of the net profit will go back into the company itself just to make sure it continue to grow. I've got 20% set to go to my pocket because, like I said, there is no way I'm running a business without making money. Okay, it's just not going to happen, which is why I will never start a non-profit organization. The title says it all. Okay, I also don't give to charity. I do not give to charity as in registered charities, or the church, because the money doesn't get to the charity. On the other hand, 10% of whatever comes in over that 550 will be going to charity. Charity being buying people groceries, buying people a dinner. Not necessarily people on the street. Okay, but I'm talking about just regular Joe, what are usually referred to as the working poor. Okay, now here's the thing. From my standpoint, this is just the way it goes. So you've got to have a purpose. Next thing you absolutely have to have is you've got to have a plan. But the funny part about that is we're not talking about knowing exactly how to get where you're going. We're talking about take a look at where you are. Is what you're doing working towards that final goal? Now, for me, it boils down to taking a look at my office and making sure I clear the stuff out of the way. Now, as you can see over here, sort of, there's stuff back on my desk. Well, those are containers full of figures. Okay, but this desk that you can't see, I've got a battle scene laid out for because I work with the little figures. And again, that's these things here. And I'm not going to bring them all out by any stretch. Because let's face it, I've got in excess of 400 of the little things. Okay, but they're just little figures like this. Okay, and yeah, I should have him do that again. Here's one that's a little bit more evolved. Okay, a little bit more painted. Now you'll notice I am not I am not a real good artist by any functional stretch. But you've got to have a plan. But the plan is this: if it isn't working for you, okay, if whatever's going on in your life, if it is not working towards attaining that goal, you're going to run into troubles. So the plan is, how do you get the energy moving in the right direction? Okay, so that you can attain the goal that you're aiming for. Now, for me, this little folder, okay, and that's all it is. It's just a little bit of information. Okay, you might call me a minimalist in some ways. Of course, when you look at that, those binders over there, that stack of binders right here, that is involved in writing the Yldrbacian Chronicles. Okay. So you come up with a plan, whatever you're looking at. Is it where it belongs? Is it contributing to your success? Okay. And if not, is it holding you back? Now, I will tell you this. The more streamlined your home is, that your working environment is, the easier you'll find it to think. Okay. And if you don't believe me, clean up your own area. Get the clutter out of the way. That's what I needed. Put those back there. Get the clutter out of the way, and you'll find things work very nicely. Of course, always keep your coffee handy. In some people's cases, that would be tea. So you've got your purpose in place. You've got your plan. What is holding you back? In my case, one of the first things I had to figure out was quite literally, how do you turn around and get the energy running? What is sitting where? So I always have, when I come online here, I always have what I am working on online right beside me here. Okay. And the reality of it is this. Okay. I've got my work there. I've got my printer here. So when an email comes in that I have to work with, I've got the printer ready to print it off. So I've got hard copy, because I will tell you this. I've lost more emails because of computer glitches than I care to count. And then, of course, I've got my finances down here and the books I'm working with. So everything is laid out in my working area, in the brain of my house, the brain of my business, the brain of my home. Good morning, Angels of Life. How you doing? Yeah, I managed to get breakfast in just before. So what's on the menu? In my case, it was just eggs. Eggs and coffee work rather nicely. But you've got to have the energy running in the right direction. And I will tell you, when the energy is running smoothly, you'll feel more energetic, you'll feel happier, more upbeat, more productive. There's a lot of things that go with getting the energy moving in the right direction. And you don't even have to believe in energy. Okay. Yeah, some people tell me I make my coffee like most people make tea. But I mean, it's a great way to start the day in my eyes. You get breakfast, so you've got some energy to work with, right? The thing, you don't have to understand how energy works. I walked into a business. It was a cleaning business, and they were nicely set up overall. But like I told them, I said, you've got to make these changes. When they made the changes I talked to them about, when I made those changes for them, I turned around, and 7 years later, these people just flat out retired. They'd gone from a struggling business to enough of a stable income. They sold their minor conglomerate and had enough money to put their feet up for the rest of their life. They were in their early 40s. Okay. This is what energy can do for you. Okay. Now, in my case, I've got a lot of books to put together. I've got a lot of information I'm putting down. And coming on live now on a regular basis, I just have to be careful that I don't try what I did yesterday, a couple of days ago. I was on the air, I was on live for 2 hours. Then I was dictating horoscopes for 2 hours. My throat gave out at the end of at the partway through, and I went, no, it's just not going to work that way. So we get the energy where we are, and this neat little list I keep talking about. Right now, I'm only just getting started on it today because I got a little sidetracked and, well, got things accomplished without writing them down. Oh my, throw that out the window. The list is not critical, but it certainly helps keep things organized. Now, once you got the plan together, not on where your life is going, but on how to change it from where it is, from what you're not content with. Because when you reorganize the energy and the layout of your place, whereby the things you're not content with have been dealt with, then all you're left with is a life you're happy with. And I will tell you, that key right there is the backbone of your success. Okay, it literally boils down to, if you're content, it will show in what you're doing. Okay, in my case, don't know if it works that way, but from my standpoint, for me personally, it's working. Okay, the more focused I am, the more I understand what I'm looking at, the happier I am. Now, once you've got the plan in place, now you have to turn to that stubborn streak of yours, and I'm sure you have one. Okay, you turn to that stubborn streak and you focus on persistence, because you don't walk a mile if you never move your feet. Okay, if you never move your feet, if you never pick up a pen, if you're a writer and you never pick a pen up, you're not writing anything. And as I just read on one of the writers' forums, you may have a bad day writing. You may have a bad day being productive. But when it comes to writing, the way they put it was, you might have a bad day writing, but you can always edit a page. Once you've written it, write something, because once you've written it, you can always edit it. But it's pretty difficult to edit a blank page. Okay. Matter of fact, it's really difficult to edit a blank page. Wayne Gretzky. Now, I'm no hockey fan. Okay, yeah, I'm Canadian. This does not mean I enjoy hockey. But Wayne Gretzky put a statement out one day that was absolutely brilliant. Okay, and what he did was, he says, you may miss 95% of the shots you take, but you will miss 100% of the ones you don't take. Okay, it's the same as success may not happen the first time you do it. Okay, but it will certainly not happen if you don't make the effort. So you've got to have the persistence. It did not happen overnight. You hopefully did not get to where you are today overnight. Now, granted, when, if you broke your arm, okay, or worse, if you had it removed, likely happened overnight. Okay, this is not the general rule. Yeah, Wallet Moth. Dave and I have had that comment before. I grew up in a time, now bear in mind, I'm a pacifist. You wouldn't know it from the books I write, from the novels. But I'm a pacifist. And when I was growing up, hockey had a simple statement around it. I went to a fight and a hockey game broke out. The fact of the matter is, I just don't have any use for that kind of conflict. Okay, because it's got nothing to do with the game. And, the reality is, you only have to win a hockey game by 1 point. You don't have to have 15 points up on the other person. My ex is a very heavy-duty hockey fan, and my son is likewise very, really enjoys it. They had a absolutely fabulous, a nail biter at the end of it, because apparently their team did win by 1 point that was scored 2 seconds before the end of the game. You know, so I mean, I don't have anything against hockey. It's a great team sport. I just have no interest in it personally. Part of that may have been because with a bad leg, bad leg and bad balance, you never step on ice. It's just a bad combination. But when you've got a plan in place, if you're going to be successful, you've got to be persistent at it. Keep poking in different directions until you find the formula that works. Okay, now I'm still, in case you hadn't noticed, modifying what I'm doing. But the reason I'm doing this with people directly is to show, okay, these are the tools I'm talking about using. These are the tools I personally am using. Okay, now I just got a letter in the mail, arrived yesterday. I opened it this morning. You know, everybody's got credit cards, but the method I've been using to bring my finances under control, okay, and to get my own life moving in the right direction, has, as of yesterday, resulted in this. Up until yesterday, I was paying 29.9% on my credit card. Okay. Now, that's a stupid amount of money to pay for credit. Okay, but that's what I was paying. As of yesterday, I just got a letter yesterday. They have dropped my credit and my interest rate. I'm now only paying, instead of 29.9, I'm paying 19. Okay. So this is what changing your life can do for your finance. I was talking to one young lady the other day. She goes, "What's going to happen? You know, is it a bad thing to cut off one of my credit cards?" Okay. I says, "Well, let me ask you." She goes, "What is it going to do to my credit rating?" I said, "Let me ask you this. Do you have any interest at your age of buying a house or a condo?" She goes, "Absolutely not." I says, "Okay, do you have any interest in buying a car?" Understanding she doesn't drive. She goes, "No, I don't have a requirement for that." I says, "Okay, then much as I still believe a credit rating is a good indication of where you're standing, it doesn't matter. Okay, it won't do anything." Good morning, Chad. How we doing? It won't do anything to you regarding. That's what I gotta look at. It won't do anything to you regarding your credit rating, as it were. What it will do is stop you having to pay the added interest. Okay, at least from my understanding. Now, she's still got credit cards available. So making these changes are critical. They will kill off her debt load and make it possible for her to function. Okay, and it goes with you as well. And this is why I say in today's world, a functioning credit card is imperative. Okay, right now, I'm looking at my credit card is way too high, but then I look at it going, well, let's see. Bought a car, took a holiday. Of course, I jacked my credit card up to the hilt. Now I'm working to bring it back down. But at least it's coming down. It's heading in the right direction. Now, you've got to have persistence when you get a plan in mind, when you get an idea in place. Okay, like with the case of the medication I just picked up to get my teeth to rebuild. If it works, okay, and still a very big if for me. I did, however, I've got down back. I did, however, take a picture of my teeth, not to show everybody, but to show me. Okay, to see what they look like now. And then I'll take a picture every month because it takes time to rebuild these. Okay. It's going to take persistence. You get a plan. If you're looking at exercise, you're looking at dropping weight or building muscle, it will take time to do it. So you've got to be persistent. You've got to be consistent with your efforts. And quite often, like I still use a hard copy calendar. Okay, I'm still very much a dinosaur. But you've got to pick a method that works for you. My method is not the only one out there that will work. My method is just simply the method I use. And like I said, in this formula I'm referring to right now, it won't matter if you're a pauper, if you're trying to clean your room, if you're trying to straighten out your house, if you're trying to run a small business or a multinational conglomerate. It won't matter. Okay, it'll still work for you. And I know this for an absolute certainty. And to give you an idea of just how much I believe in it, this is my folder that tells me what I require in order to be successful, in order to build this corporation. Now, I'm going to call it a corporation. In all fairness, I call it an empire. Now, I only made $3,600 last month. Okay, so you're with me right now at the beginning of a massive journey. Okay. Now, like I tell people on the journey regularly, I came back to this life, to this time in particular, to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for just about everybody. Now, there will be some people that don't agree with it, but understand, whether it's a corporation you're running or you're a pauper on the street or anything in the middle, okay, doesn't matter. Every single person is of equal spiritual value. You all have worth. Okay, so you got to have the persistence. You got to take that belief in and really hold it here in your heart to say, this is the reality of it. This is my reality. It took my turning that around and really looking at myself as a major player. Now, I know I'm a small fish. Okay, like I said, I've got about 3,500 followers on social media total. Okay, 3,500, and yet I have been dealing with corporations recently, where I have phoned them up or I've dropped them a letter and said, okay, you're a corporation. I understand that. I'm this little tiny fish, but you are not going to treat me this way anymore. I encourage you to do the exact same thing where it comes to the people in your life. Set your boundaries, set your goals, your own priorities. Okay, and go, this is what I deserve. Quit taking a back seat to people, regardless of who they are. Okay, we are not talking about this issue of the people that are holding the biggest play. I'm just looking at this. Angels of Life has just entered into the chat room. Terminology is actually really important to know. One thinks of things with regards to becoming successful, and it is. The reality of it is, my idea of success for me will be when I actually get. Right now, it was a case of getting my money to the point where I know where it's coming from. I know how much is coming in. That was a mark of success. Once I get the books actually starting to sell and starting to make some decent income. Right now, I don't know entirely. Okay. So I don't know entirely what the overall picture is. But what I'm doing here, and again, like I said, I would be adding things to this list as I go along today. That was stuff from yesterday. Okay. One of the things I have to do is go back over. I've got actually financial records from when I started Inner Voice Enterprises back in 2007. Okay. I'm going to go back, look at how much money I've sunk into the writing to find out exactly how much I've sunk. Okay. And then start moving forward. Football, how you doing? Glad you made it. The reality is, my putting these tools out there, these are the ones that I personally use. Now, if they work for you, if you haven't made the effort to experience them, do yourself a favor. Don't sit and say it won't work. Okay, you don't have to follow what I'm saying by any functional stretch. The reality is, I do not look at the world the same way that many people do. Okay. So what I'm doing here is just simply marking down that I have to really go back through it today and find out, starting back in 2007, find out how much money I've actually spent, how much money I've actually retrieved, earned from my efforts. So I can get an idea of how far in the bin I am. That way I'll know when I have hit that point of, okay, I'm making more money than I'm spending. That will be another marker for me as far as success goes. When I started repairing my eyes, it was a question of, I'm tired of being blind. Okay, it was funny, after my stroke, my eyesight improved. And my poor ophthalmologist, he goes, what are you doing? I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, you just came out of a stroke. You've been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. So what are you doing that your eyes are improving? I looked at the guy and I says, I got tired of being blind. He looks at me and he goes, that's no excuse. He says, that doesn't explain anything. He says, it's not possible. I says, well, I'll tell you what, you figure it out. Me, I'm just going to continue getting my eyes back to normal, back to functional. Right now, they're not as good as I'd like, and I'll get to that. Now, I was doing an interview on video the other day, a Zoom interview, and I got told that I should be sitting still. Don't move and just stand there and talk. Right. And I'm thinking, I'm more of a realist. Yes, I move. Is it distracting? Probably. Is it me? Certainly. Okay. And if you ever run into me in person, and yes, just for those of you that have any inclination that way, I'm in Kelowna, BC. Okay, up in Canada. If you ever get up this way and you desire to actually sit down for coffee with me, I'm quite open to it. It's been doing things like that have enabled me to sit down and talk to millionaires. I remember I was in a parking lot one day, and like I said, I am not a mechanic. Okay, I really am not. And this isn't a question of I couldn't possibly learn. It's I've got no interest. So I've got my hood up, and I'm waiting for a friend of mine that I've already called. Right, this guy in a great big loaded 3/4 ton high lift, right, truck, pulls up beside me, rolls down the window, and he says, as his chauffeur gets out to go off and do something, this guy calls me over. He looks at me. He says, he says, sorry to intrude, but I just had to talk to you. I looked at him. I went, okay. He said, he looks at my car, and it was an old wreck of a car. He says, car problems. I says, good guess. Bear in mind, the hood is up. Now, I know this guy is well off, considering the way he's dressed, the way he carries himself, the vehicle he's driving that's clearly brand spanking new, hot off the lot. Right. And I says, yeah, I says, and that's what it is. He says, he looks at me and goes, a little bit of financial trouble. Eh? I says, yeah, bankrupt twice. And he goes, and that's where he caught me off guard. He says, first time was because of creative financing on your part. Second time was because of something that somebody else did that you couldn't compensate for. I says, okay, you got my attention. He says, look, he says, I make my living out of spotting people that will be successful. Now, I took this with a handful of salt. I'm thinking I'm nothing special, and I still think I'm nothing really that special. Do not take that as a sign of low self-esteem. Okay, but I have been through some terrible things, but people have been through worse. This guy says, don't worry about it. He says, I make my living spotting people that will be successful. So he says, keep on the path you're on. You'll make it. Now, the neat part about it for me is I'm currently in the middle of making, I'm currently in the middle of laying out an absolute corporate superstructure to build a major intercontinental company. Okay. Now, the funny part about that whole thing with the gentleman is he makes this comment, then his chauffeur gets back in the car and a bunch of them drive off. I have no idea who this guy was. Okay. But I did take it. I'd asked another friend of mine one day. I says, why do people keep asking me for money? It's not like I have any. And the guy goes, no, it's because you carry yourself like you do. I said, what do you mean? He says, you walk into any building as though you own the place, right? He says, you don't go where you're not supposed to go, but you walk in with this attitude of, I'm here, this is me, deal with it. And, looking back at it, he's actually pretty right. Okay. The first job I had outside, and this is just the persistent way I've been. I do not look at people differently than each other. Whether you're a pauper or a millionaire, I don't care. Okay. Am I going to sit still, unless I absolutely have to? Am I going to sit still and not move when I'm talking to people? Not going to happen. That will happen. I did a few years ago, Football Cat. I went down to the local mall here. Okay. And what I had done, I had a little bit of extra money, and I just loved the way it worked out. I took 5 Christmas cards. I didn't have a lot of money. Like I said, I am not wealthy. Not by my definition, anyway. Okay, but I took five Christmas cards, and I put $20 in each of them. And all I wrote on the Christmas card was Merry Christmas from Inner Voice Enterprises. And I walked through the mall and handed out to random people. As a matter of fact, I didn't even pick the people. I had 2 other people with me and said, pick somebody you want to give a card to. Right? They walked over, said Merry Christmas, handed them a Christmas card, and walked off. A couple of times we happened to still be in the area long enough for them to open the Christmas card. And I'll tell you, the look on their face when they opened that card and found a $20 cash bill, a actual money in their hand, the look on their face was phenomenal. Okay. I do the same thing in a restaurant. Okay. I'll go in, I'll sit down at the restaurant and go, I'm paying that bill. That table right there, give me the bill for it. Right. And I'll carry on with my day. And sometimes I'll stick around, because I haven't finished eating, or sometimes I won't. Okay. But this is something now, when I mentioned I was going to start working effective immediately, taking my net profit. Okay. Now, I'm not relying just on my business. Okay. I believe charity comes from the whole 9 yards. So that net profit that I require, my business only requires $550 to run. My household requires $3,200. Okay. But last month, I made 36 combined, which means that I would take, now it's not much, but that would mean if I'm taking 10% of the net profit, I'm looking at $40, enough to buy a small table, their dinner, okay, or to buy somebody food in the grocery store. The nice little issue that you look at, okay, when you're staying with persistency, okay, be yourself. Do not try and emulate what everybody else is. Do not try and live up to other people's standards. It doesn't work well. The one exception to that is if the written law says this is what you got to follow. Live up to that. Okay. I got a kick out of it. I saw on Facebook the other day, somebody was complaining that people were driving at the speed limit. If you're just going to drive at the speed limit, would you mind getting off the road? This is backwards. If the speed limit says that's your maximum, that doesn't mean only go that. It doesn't mean you cannot go fast, that you have to go faster. It means your maximum is that's where the speed limit ends. Okay. And the ironic part of it is that when you're doing this, okay, when you stay consistent with you, first and foremost, you don't have to remember what other people say and what you told other people. I've got a lousy memory a lot of the time, so I stick to the truth as I see it. Saves me having to remember what I told you. Now, this does not mean I'm perfect, but that persistent, that staying on track with who you feel you are, with that image you've got of you. That's the one you worry about, because everybody else is going to see you in their eyes based on their experiences. Okay. Now, the fourth part of that formula is you've got to have patience. Understand, I am not going to take, and I'm not going to show you because, let's face it, my arms, they are not well built. I mean, they're well built. The muscles work, right? Except for this one, which, as you can see, if I let go, yes, I had to do that on purpose. There was a time when I literally could not pick up a piece of paper because I'd stand there with my hand like this, relaxed, and it would shake literally this badly. Until I came to the conclusion, I didn't like that anymore. The doctors couldn't figure out why it was only the one hand. Okay. Nutritionists had no clue what was going on. I simply went, I'm rebuilding the nerve structure. Now, I still have troubles from time to time, especially given that I ended up with a stroke at one point. Okay. At approximately 7 o'clock in the morning. Nope, that was when I broke my arm. Yeah, it probably was about that time in the morning. But I woke up in the morning on December 28th of 2018. And got up, did what I had to, and looking back on it, I actually managed to finish in the washroom before I had the stroke and hit the floor. Okay, I know this because I had my clothes on. Okay, and I ended up beside the bathroom and beside the toilet. But that got me really thinking, how long is it going to take? Now, there was the longest time, well over a year, that I couldn't actually hang on to my coffee cup. Really bad thing. Okay, for me, really bad thing. I couldn't hold on to my coffee cup with my left hand without it pouring on the floor, or without it just dropping on the floor. So I've started tracking things to really get back on track. But in order to be successful, you're the one that's going to have to do it. And the thing you've got to realize is it's not up to me to tell you whether you're successful. It's up to you to decide, or for anybody else for that matter. It's up for you to look in the mirror and go, are you content? The comment was made, no offense taken. In all fairness, when I first got on, I was asked right off the bat, and I encourage you people to be absolutely dead honest with me. Okay. I'm going to be honest with you. I do that because I prefer honesty. And do not ask me who. I'd have to go back and try and find out who made the comment. But somebody asked her I forgot to do my hair today. The answer to that question is yes, I did. Okay. But I'm not perfect. Okay. I also have a firm believer that people will take me the way I am. I got told one time, and I do caution you against this thought process. I was talking to a businessman, 3-piece suit, the whole 9 yards. He was in. And he goes, if you expect to be heard by the business people, by the business world, you have to be in a suit and tie. I looked at him and I says, if they're interested in what I'm wearing, they're not interested in the way I'm looking at the world. They don't have any interest in changing. They're looking for somebody to dress like them and tell them they're doing a really good job. Okay. Well, I phoned up an intercontinental company. Okay. And I told them flat out they were absolutely unprofessional. I says, I'm a very small fish. I know that. Okay. But I told them flat out, you are extremely unprofessional. Your business is absolutely proving to me, the way I'm witnessing it, you don't care about your customers. Okay. You're not listening to them at all. You're interested in their money. You seem to be interested in their money and how much of it you can get without following through with your word. Now, this is me talking to an international corporation. Okay. Now, I run a business from my office. This is where it is. Okay. And I turned around and told them this. I said, it's not acceptable. Right. Talk to another corporation, also a larger company. And I told them, I said, look, this has to be corrected. Right. I says, you as a salesperson are doing fabulous, but the company you're working for is not following through with anything. I says, I'm a small business. I'm a small individual. And if I go into a place, I deserve the same treatment as your wealthiest individual. Okay. I said, this just is no longer acceptable. It was when I took that attitude and went, no, yeah, I'm a small business, I'm a small person, I'm an individual. That's it. But I am no longer tolerating this kind of misbehavior or mistreatment from the corporations. I could not believe. Oh, that's the thing that everybody complains about. Malu just asked, what is perfection? Right? Well, perfection is literally what everybody else points out the problems you have, totally ignoring their own. Totally ignoring their own miscalculations. 2,000 years ago, Rabbi Yeshua turned around and said, let he who has not sinned cast the first stone. Okay. And he himself dropped the stone. I am not perfect. Absolutely not. The reality of it from your standpoint is you have to decide what you consider success. Are you happy with your life? Are you happy with what you're seeing produced? I look at my teeth. When I took my picture of my teeth this morning, and no, I'm not showing you. Okay. Rest assured they're a mess. But since I can't go to the doctor and I can't go to a dentist right now, and I will say can't. Technically I could. But what'll happen is I'll end up in an attack of PTSD, triggered by both. So when I turned around and decided I'm no longer dealing with this, all of a sudden, these two major corporations, well, one of them has already got back to me in less than 4 hours with the corrections I told them they were making. Because when I first started the conversation with them, I says, before we go any further, here's who I am, and we're not even going to entertain the conversation of it's my fault you guys screwed up. Not going to go there. It was absolutely amazing. I was in Canadian Tire yesterday paying my bill. The one they just sent me the letter for. I didn't get it till I got home from paying the bill. But the one they just sent the letter for telling me my interest rate had collapsed. Right. I'm in the store there. There's a guy standing in line. Right. He's standing in line. So I come down through the aisle and I'm standing behind him. This other woman comes in and tries to butt in front of him. Right. She had just come in through the store. And she says, she goes, I should be the first in line. And he looks at her and goes, well, I've been walking around in the store for a while. I just came and just got to the line now. Well, I'm very disappointed. And he looks at her and goes, I'm sorry you're disappointed, but you're not getting in the front of the line. Right. So, she huffed and she pushed her and she didn't even go with the, excuse me. Right. All she did was she pushed past the guy, very mad. And I just looked at him and I says, somebody's having a bad day. The reality is, if you're having a bad day, this happens. I have bad days. Okay, usually when I have a bad day, I fall down. No, I don't throw a temper tantrum, my leg gives out. But you've got to have the patience to make absolutely certain that you're putting the effort in and realize, like, for instance, I'm going to build my strength. That's a good way to put it. I've yet to figure out why they all of a sudden pick these names and go, oh, you're a Karen. I've got a friend of mine that's a Karen, one of the nicest people that I know. Right. I have other names I use, but I guess Karen's a politer way to put it. It's like if you're in Australia, from what I understand, never call your kid Sheila because it means night worker, a night worker, lady of the night, number of other comments that can be a whole lot ruder. Okay. From my standpoint, I just have other words and they're not quite so polite. You know, she's just one of these people that's absolutely, truly self-centered. You know, the world does not revolve around any one of you out there. I'm sure some of you that are listening to this may not believe me. Okay, I had a fallout with the person years and years ago over religious differences. They thought they were God and I didn't agree. You know, I told the first boss I ever had, that when he grew up and could get along with my first supervisor, well, actually, it was my second supervisor, I literally told them, when you guys can grow up and get along, come and talk to me. Until then, I'm making my own rules. And this is something that has become a consistent way of doing things. You know, I walk into the same restaurant. I've been in it for a couple of years straight. Okay, pretty much on a daily basis, which is an expense that I permit myself to indulge. It's one of the few entertainment things I do. Okay, but I walk in now. I'm in there every day pretty much, and I still will stop at the door because the door has printed blatantly on it, "Please wait to be seated." Now, if I'm running a restaurant and I've got a sign that says "Please wait to be seated," okay, I'm hoping that the people will wait. Now, since that's the way I look at it, when I see that sign that says "Please wait to be seated," I wait until the waitress or the bartender or whoever comes along and says, "Grab your seat." Now, of course, I do have my seat. Spend 2 years on a daily basis in the same restaurant, sitting in the same place. That's your seat. But they don't throw people out of it if I don't get there on time. Right. It's just that they all know that's where I sit. So just go grab your seat. I'll join you over there. Okay. For me, it really boils down to this. The karmic law. Now, I only follow 3. Be true to yourself first. Get the image in your own head that you feel is right in your own heart, that you feel is what you desire to show people. Okay, now I can point out all kinds of flaws that I have personally, but get the idea in your own head who you are, who you desire to present to the world. This does not mean that everybody will see you the same way. Okay, that's the first one. Do I filter what I say? No, I do my best not to swear. I do my best not to scream at people. But I do have a vocal temper. Okay, I absolutely do. It's not something I'm proud of. It's just something that is. It's kind of like saying, "Oh, look, I've got gray hair." I mean, it's something, it's there. So the first one is that. The second one, do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. If you desire to be treated decently, treat the people you're dealing with decently. It doesn't guarantee they will treat you decently, but it does stack the deck in your favor. Okay. And energy out, energy in. What you put your effort into, this is what you're getting back. Now, the concept that I have done all of this stuff, everything I've done, you can do more. There's nothing stopping you. Okay, except you. And this is one of the things that I pointed out, in this neat little book here. In this one here, Believe in Yourself. Okay. Whatever you put your mind to, within reason, you can accomplish. Now, I will tell you, you can say you don't believe in something all you want. It doesn't mean anything in certain cases. You don't have to believe in gravity. Gravity will play havoc with you if you don't pay attention to it. You don't have to believe in the speed limit. But I will tell you, if you break the law on the speed limit, they will pull you over. Okay? Even the wealthy get pulled over. Okay? You can have somebody wealthy and driving like a bat. And all of a sudden, okay, that just brought something to mind. All of a sudden, the cops will pull them over. Now, granted, in today's world, more often than not, okay, if somebody's got money, they can get away with a lot of things. They can walk away with a lot of things. Now, I don't have money. Okay, I don't have a lot of money to work with. But here's the kicker to it. Okay, I don't have a whole lot of money. I got pulled over I got pulled over quite seriously for speeding. I don't have money at all. But now, when I talk about speeding, I went through a town. It had a speed limit, a posted speed limit of 50 kilometers an hour. I shot through the thing and doing just shy of 120. Okay, 2 o'clock in the morning, but I was still way over the speed limit. I managed to lock out, and I got away with a verbal warning. Okay, to play, a verbal request. It wasn't even really a warning. It was like, look, I'm going to let you off on a warning that, you're doing way too fast. Guy, the cop says, I've got a lot of drunk Indians out here tonight, and I'd prefer not having to pick them up off the street. Now, bear in mind, there weren't any cars on the road, so we're talking about drunks walking. Well, the next time I came through the same town, about 4 months later, come back through the town, only this time I remembered the speed sign, and I dropped my speed. Well, lights come on again behind me. And I says, is there a problem, officer? He says, absolutely not. He said, I recognize your vehicle, and I just wanted to stop you and say thank you so much for paying attention to the speed limit. There are police out there that are decent people. I'm seeing this more often than not. Like, I'm seeing more and more posts of things that are painting the lighter side and the nicer side of what police can do. But I will tell you, I saw something that was absolutely brilliant on Facebook this morning. Somebody took a picture of a gear shift. That thing that you modify, that you move around to make your car move. Now, it was just a normal everyday car gear shift set between two seats. Okay, the fact it was a gear shift wasn't. I'm looking at this thing and it's like, and all he said was, "Let this picture sink in." Oh, wait. And it took me a couple of moments to realize why he took a picture of a gear shift. That thing that you've got to sit in the driver's seat and you've got your hand on the gear shift beside you so that you can move it to wherever you need it. The thing about the gear shift was this. It had braille markings on the gear shift. This is I'm looking at this going, okay, now I see the problem. And I understood why he said, I'll let it sink in, because it took a couple of minutes for it to dawn on me what he had taken a picture of. But it brought back to mind a job offer, that had come up from the Canadian National Institute for the Blind. They were looking for a driver. Okay, which I can absolutely understand. They were looking for a driver for this institute. The primary quality, the first thing on the list, you must be 100% legally blind to get this job. Now, that's the gear shift that the person needed. Of course, I'm not quite certain how well that's going to work, but I can imagine. I'm looking at the whole thing going, there's got to be a reason. Like, people have to think things through. But it's going to take patience. It's going to take a consistent effort on your part to change the way your life is going. Okay, you've got to get it straight in your own head. I'm not the one to tell you what success is. That's up to you. Remember that thing about dry throat? So I figured out, like, the funny part about it is I don't compete with the major corporations and what have you. I'm not about to. I will build one. But like I told my executive assistant that I just picked, she just took on the job. Well, we've marked it. She's been working with me for a while. But we just made it official as of August 1st. So 3 weeks ago. Okay. And like I told her, yes, we are going to build this empire. I've got an absolute picture in my head of what I'm aiming for. But it starts off running a small business properly, building it the right way. am making certain that when I'm dealing with people, like for instance, when I get an order for a book, right, I've given myself 3 business days to get it into the mail. Quite often I'll get it into the mail the same day, but it depends on what's going on. You know, sometimes like that, and I call it 3 business days. Because let's face it, mailing something out on the weekend isn't going to happen. Now, I'm absolutely flabbergasted by the cost of shipping for some of them. Okay, I'm quite happy that this backbone one, that the book's this size, I can ship, including all the cost of production, everything else. I can put it in somebody's hands for $20. Okay, including shipping it. Same as with the other ones. The only one that is absolutely stupid priced where it comes to shipping is with the novels. And I'm in the process of getting that corporation straightened out so that what you get on the internet is a proper value, you know, is the proper thing. Now, the reality is ordering things straight from me, I will be signing any book that I ship out, and I keep the inventory in here to make sure I've got it, right? But the reality of it is, if I'm going to build a major corporation, a major company, then the first rule of thumb is I'm not the one that has to do all the work. And the people doing the work have to be making the money when I get to the point of actually hiring people. Okay, and that's going to take me a while. Right now, I work on literally a commission side of it, okay, or a trade side of it. Reason being, I'm flat out not making the money to pull it off. But I'm already laying the groundwork for it. I'm already laying the policies out to make sure of it. And this is why when I talk about profit sharing, a company does not become a big company because of the person at the helm. It comes because of the customers, because of the clients. That's what builds your company. That's what builds your success. Okay, these major YouTubers that are out there that have hundreds of thousands of followers, okay, they are not that successful because they are there. They are that successful because of the number of people that are actually watching them. Now, personally, I don't sit and watch anybody play a game. Okay, it's just not that exciting for me. But the same thing applies when you're looking at the stock market. Okay, I love the way it was put. I was doing some research on how to actually get into the stock market, to work the stock market. And they do tell you the right thing. Get your financial files. Take a look at what the company is planning on doing. Figure out what their efforts are being put towards, how they're spending their money, how they're treating their staff. Okay, and then it goes sideways, right? In my opinion, anyway. They turn around, they say, now once you've got all that, figure out what the company is going to do with that advancement. How are they going to handle things with this little setback that's coming up? Okay, and I came to my understanding, one teacher pointed out that's all well and fine, but the real catch to it is you don't have to know what the company is doing. You have to know what the company is thinking of doing. See, there's the reality is, the only reason football that I wouldn't invest in vegan foods is because take any food you desire. Doesn't matter which one is vegan. I don't know which ones are vegan, which ones aren't. Myself, I'm basically a carnivore. Okay. Or as a friend of mine put it, he's another carnivore, and he says he's a secondhand vegan. The cattle eat the grain, and he eats the cattle. That YJ, I appreciate that. And I will absolutely take a look, and I will absolutely copy that into my repertoire, because I'll tell you, I send a book, when I'm trying to ship a book and it costs almost as much to ship the book as it does to make it, there's a problem. The reality is, the only reason football that I wouldn't invest in vegan foods is because take any food you desire. Doesn't matter which one is vegan. I don't know which ones are vegan, which ones aren't. Myself, I'm basically a carnivore. Okay. Or as a friend of mine put it, he's another carnivore, and he says he's a secondhand vegan. The cattle eat the grain, and he eats the cattle. You know, and of course, from my standpoint, cheapest isn't always the best thing. I've got a local printer here that costs me a little more money than it would for a bigger printer. But I get exactly what I'm asking for, and the money is being sent out local. Okay. But the thing about it is, when you're looking at making a mark, okay, treat the people you're dealing with properly. I had a client that came to me with problems with the restaurant. They were losing staff, they were losing customers. Right. So I asked them what they were paying their staff. Well, first I asked, what's the cost of living? What does it cost to run your average house in that city? The guy tells me, and I did a quick calculation. I says, double their paycheck, double their wage right now. And he goes, why would I do that? I says, right now, these people cannot afford to live. They cannot afford to work for you. Right. And he goes, well, they get tips. I says, you never rely on tips to pay your staff. You rely on your wage, what you're offering them. I said, it's recommended if you're looking at full-time work, pay them enough so that if they only work 30 hours a week instead of 40, they can still live. And the reason you do that is because if they can live, they're not going to go looking elsewhere. They'll stay for you as long as you treat them properly. And in today's world, the old saying, an honest day's pay for an honest day's work, is about as solid as it gets. With the company I'm in the process of building, I absolutely intend, and usually when I get my mind set on something, once I have figured it out, okay, I'm not doing this for free. I'm doing this so I've got money to retire on, so that when I finally hit the end of my rope, of my working time, that I've got enough that I can sit back and do nothing. Okay. You know, the biggest thing I have to look at is that from the standpoint of how to deal with your staff, with your customers, treat them in such a way that you would be happy if you were treated that way. If you don't treat them that way, they're not going to come back. Okay, your best advertising across the board is word of mouth. Okay, now sometimes I pay a little more. Like, for instance, and I haven't got them back yet. I only recently ordered them. Where did I put them? Oh, right beside me. Okay, now, here's the thing. I'm not going to hold it up all that close because you don't need to read it. This business card came from Vistaprint. Okay, $10. But what happened was I picked out the pictures. I entered the data I wanted. All they did was go click. Okay. All they did was hit a print button and away they went. $10 for 250. Nice price. Great price. Okay. For 250, my local printer is going to end up charging me. It's going to end up charging me 95. Small printer, higher price. But she designed I gave her what I desired on it. She did the layout, modified it accordingly so it was much more appealing. Greetings, Elaine. Glad you could make it. No, she did the work, and much more importantly to me, she's local. Okay, I live like 3 blocks from her store, so I can walk down there and go, here's what the issue is. It was funny, when I showed her the problem with the novels, I took hers down, said, this is what you produced. Now, I'm really happy with what she produced. But I put them on the table and she looks at me and goes, oh my gosh, I'm off by 1/8 of an inch. I'm like, okay. Right. But, the reality of it is she took care and she looked at the one that was really messed up. And she goes, how could they screw it up that badly? Okay. But this is why I deal with local, if at all possible. Sometimes it'll cost me a little more. Sometimes not. But you pick a path that you're content with. Do not worry about whether everybody else tells you, oh, it's not a good idea. Okay. The reality of it is, I've evolved beyond the idea of paying bottom dollar to get what I'm aiming for. I mean, I get a real kick out of it. My dad made a comment. He used to be a sheet metal worker, used to build aircraft, okay, or more to the point, he used to repair them. And he come home one day and he made a comment that was brilliant, just absolutely brilliant. He goes, "You realize, son, the aircraft that I work on are built by the lowest bidder. Okay, how cheap can I get this done?" Well, that's a cute thought. He thought it was kind of funny himself. I'm looking at it going, yes, you can get it done for as cheap as possible. But quite often you get what you pay for. By the way, if you're new here, in case you hadn't noticed, this is a live recording. I'm streaming live, obviously. I don't ever go back and try and edit anything, even when I post afterwards. And I'll get back to doing that periodically once I have a camera working again that I can. Right now, my computer still thinks I don't have a camera, and then does this for me. The thing is, I deal close. Well, I keep telling people, the reality is, Elaine, like I told somebody earlier, I did neglect to comb my hair this morning. On the other hand, I woke up, I wasn't pushing daisies, I figured I was ahead of the game. And like I've always told people, and no offense taken, so don't take any back. I've always told people, this is who I am. I am that I am, and I'll let other people worry about it. Some people look at it and they go, "Oh, you've got great hair." I look at it and go, "I've got hair. At least I've got more hair than my brothers do." If you look back at videos I did 10 years ago, my hair was all the way down to here. Okay, like it was that long. And then I finally just earlier this year, I think, I decided I was cutting it back. Might have been a different time. I don't know. I'm not good for it. For the time thing. But when you get in your own mind, and it literally boils down to your eyesight, are you content with the way your life is? Are you content with the changes you're making? Okay. I've had to tell people when they call me up regarding their relationship, it's like, is this relationship going to work? Oh, yeah, the guy's honest. Just make sure that you do not because he is absolutely honest with just about no filter. So whatever you do, when you wake up in the morning, do not ask him what your hair looks like, because the odds are you do not have a Hollywood hairstyle. Okay. Now, for me, today it's a real simple issue. I've got a formula worked out. Like I said, this formula works. And I said it at the beginning, I'm going to say it again now. The simplest way to put it is, when your mind can conceive it and your heart can believe it, then you can achieve it. Okay, that is the backbone to the philosophy of driving yourself forward. Well, actually, the backbone is this one. Much more accurately, this is the backbone to the way I live. Okay, now do understand, I grew up with an extremely shallow self-esteem. My self-esteem was literally so low. Well, how low was it? It was literally so low that I wouldn't even talk to my parents about what I was feeling, because I didn't feel I had any value. Okay, now I look at it going, I'm of as much value as the biggest corporation, the most well-developed political organization, the oldest company in existence. I am as much value as they are. There is nothing less value, and there is no way I am any less valuable. Now, this said, I've got my life. I live in my own home. I live in an apartment. I'm not living on the street. This does not make me any more valuable than the person living on the street. Okay. Doesn't make me worth any more. Well, I could send it to you, but getting it grafted might be a problem. And I don't let it grow that long anymore. This is pretty much as long as it's going to be at this point. I might get it cut at some point if it gets out of hand. But like I told my other half, these aren't being removed. I'll cut them down once in a while, but the sideburns are staying. And like I told her, I said, deal with it. They're not going anywhere. In case you hadn't noticed, quite often I'll end up, my beard will grow somewhat, and then I'll get around to shaving it again. But here's the reality behind it. I don't live with anybody. Well, I live with my son. So if I don't feel like shaving, I don't bother. Right? I don't let it get out of hand for me. And every now and again, I'll shave it off again. But I did tell my other half when she moves up here, I will keep it gone because she prefers no hair, no beard. No beard, no mustache, which I don't have a problem with. I'm not exactly attached to them. Well, technically I am. But I came to the conclusion that I've gone, and again, I've gone from my self-esteem being so low, I literally wouldn't talk to my parents about what I was feeling, okay, or about what I was concerned about. Okay, I just wouldn't. I've avoided people like the plague for the last decade because number one, I didn't want to deal with them. Number two, I know I've got a vocal problem. Okay, there's a t-shirt that says it beautifully that goes, that thing that most people have in their head that says, oh, you shouldn't say that? Yeah, I don't have one of those. Okay, I usually go, oh, I should not have said that. But then by then it's too late. So I've reached a point in life. Now, it would have been much more effective from my standpoint had I reached this point earlier. But I've been avoiding phone calls. If my cell phone rings, even if it's an unknown number at this point, I'll pick it up and I'll listen to what they have to say. But you always listen for those clues. Like for instance, there's a problem at customs for you. Hang up on the person. Do not hit buttons. Don't listen anymore. Okay, because if there's a problem at customs for you, whatever country you're in, whatever country the item's coming from, if there's a problem at customs, they're not going to phone you and tell you there's a problem. They'll phone you and tell you you've got something that's arrived. Okay, or they'll send you a letter or something to that effect that says, we've got something that arrived that you need to come and pick up. Absolutely. But they will not phone you and say there's a problem. If they do, hang up. I get phone calls from people, going, oh, your SIN number, your social insurance number has been canceled. I'm like, so I'm a non-person, so I don't have to pay taxes. I'm good. Hang up. Do not hit the lines. Okay. I had an email the other day. And I forget who it came from, but I will tell you, when you get an email and it's asking you to hit a hot link because of a problem, absolutely. Okay, absolutely. There are times that you have to look at it, but normally when you get an email, double check the originating email address. More often than not, you'll find that it's not consistent with whatever they're saying. Do not hit the hot link. Okay, these are great ways for people to steal your information for people, because what they do is they get you hit the hot link and now they've got it. It's not until you hit that hot link that you do. I like the way a friend of mine put it. I didn't think there was, but on the other hand, I told the guy one day, I wasn't happy with him. He looks at me and goes, and long story short, this businessman looks at me and goes, you're being awfully rude. And I just looked at him and smiled and went, dang, I thought I was getting good at it. Basically, the problem was I told him if he didn't like the store, get out of it. I didn't even work there. But this is why when people ask me a question, it's like, I used to go, and I still will on occasion. Somebody will ask me a question, and I go, you don't want an answer to that. or you're not to blame. You didn't do anything is the one that's usually important. But if people push for an answer, and I do decide I'm going, Dogface, how you doing? I don't know how long you've been here. I just noticed your name. I'm a firm believer that you be honest with people, be direct. If I'm going to, well, not if, I'm going to build a company that is global, okay, that reaches across the world. I'm going to build, if everything goes the way I'm aiming at and I pull the money together in the right way, I will build a recovery center. For the moment, the way it works is this. I will link up with people that I feel are following the path I desire, and I will make connections that way, basically building a lattice work around the world. That's where people that, if you like the message I'm bringing, if you like the videos, give us a thumbs up, do subscribe to the channel, and share the daylights out of the message. Okay, to make that a little easier, there's a neat little button in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen there. You hit that sets you up for the subscription right there. Okay, you can also, where it comes to the different books I've got, go to rkeithandrews.com. I now have a website that is dedicated strictly to the books. Okay, working on that. I've got the Facebook pages. If you look below the video, if you look below this video and any of the others, there's a whole list of ways of getting in touch with me. There's a whole list of different books I've already got in production. Okay. From my standpoint, well, absolutely. Dogface, boy, I keep telling you, if you're going to drink like that, enjoy it. Now, I'm presuming this means you got home safe. I lived that life. I lived that life for too long. But I did find a way to avoid hangovers. I simply stayed drunk for the length of time I was drinking. I just killed a 26er every night. Avoided every hangover I could have had. But I always made sure I had somebody else get me home, as in a cab driver. Or I'd walk home. Right? I remember one day I was walking home, and every time I was walking home with a friend of mine, and I'll use the term walking a little loosely, but we'd get to a telephone pole, and you'd grab hold of the telephone pole to steady yourself, and you'd end up going around the telephone pole 2 or 3 times. Of course, then you get started. We did it a couple of times. We'd go around it a couple of times, then get our footing back, and we'd head off, find out we went to the telephone pole that we just passed. Okay, so it took us some time, but been there, done that. But when you're looking at being successful, you've got to decide what success is for you. For me, I am clearing out the office. I'm getting the books working the way I desire them to go. Okay. And I'm getting them laid out the way I feel content. Now, I'm not going to make everybody happy. Well, actually, in all fairness, I literally make everybody happy. I mean happy. Some people I make happy by showing up. Most people I make happy by leaving. And I'm going to make a comment here that is going to set off a few people. But there is a reason for my outlook on it. I keep getting approached by people being told I should go back to church. That I should worship Christ, that I should worship God. And I keep telling them, first and foremost, I am a very firm believer in God. I'm a very firm believer in Jesus Christ, probably more so than most. But what they're teaching in the church right now is not something I believe in. And there's a lot of reasons for it. Okay. Not the least of which is the arguments they give me for actually going back. So for me, this is just me. I've sent staggering numbers of people back to a church, back to a temple, into things like AA or NA, as in Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous. I send people to these places because they have a foundation that does have some semblance to it. And virtually everybody requires assistance somehow. This is why I say, working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. but it is going to take the combined effort. There is no entity in existence that is, as the saying goes, an island unto itself. We all require assistance at some point. Okay, but in order to get assistance, you've got to know not what requires fixing. What you have to know is what you're not content with. And do you have the capacity yourself to do something about it? You know, if I'm not content with the fact my coffee is running low, I have to do something about it. There's not a one of you that can. Rest assured, when my current can of coffee runs out, I've got another 3 in backup. Okay, so I'm not in any danger of running out of coffee. You know, but you get an idea in your head of what you're content with in your life. This is not for me to decide. Okay, I've got these 2 zip drives that are sitting here, for instance. Now, I can think about finding out what's on them, because I've heard people say, well, thinking about doing something is just as good as doing it. How much do you figure thinking about what's on this zip drive is going to help me figure it out if I don't plug it in, if I don't do the work and plug it into the computer to find out? Okay, same as this one. Now, I got a whole stack of these. I have no idea what's on them. Okay, but you get an idea in your head. Are you content with your life? Are you content with your appearance? Okay, and, I don't do anything to speak of to make other people happy I'm going to do this just to make them happy. Okay, in all fairness, most of what I do because it feels like the thing to do at the time. I'm pretty certain my tombstone is going to say something to the effect of, well, seemed like a good idea at the time. Not quite certain that's going to work out well. Yeah, no doubt. I mean, from my end, it really boils down. There's all sorts of ways of marking things, of making sure you stay on track. I've got to make certain I adjust what I'm doing. Right. Because right now I rely on eyesight. But my other half, when she gets up here, is blind. Therefore, I will have to make adjustments. But like I told her, this is the only thing I'm not going to encourage her to do right off the bat. Although now we apparently have a car we can do it with. Is I'm not letting her drive in traffic. I did figure out there are a couple places here in Kelowna where I'll be able to take her, put her in the car, and get her to drive. Not solo by any functional stretch, but I will be able to get her behind the wheel and give her that experience. Not driving in traffic. The woman is blind. I swear half the people I see driving out there are blind. And I question it on my own point on occasion. But take a look at where your life is. If you desire to be successful, first thing you have to determine is, number one, it's you that's got to be doing it. But you have to understand what success is for you. Make your job small. Okay? This is why the first task of any day, no matter who you are, your first task, okay, the first success you can have is when you wake up, wait long enough to get your bearings so you can see straight, as it were. Okay, as soon as you can see straight, get up, get out of bed, do what you have to in the washroom, come back, get dressed, and make your bed. Okay, once the bed is made and you're dressed, get out of your bedroom. You have now accomplished the most annoying task ever invented, at least in my opinion. And you've done it before you got your day started. Now, is that a great way to start your day with that kind of success? I mean, I start off going, okay, I got out of bed. I want to stay in bed. No, I'm not going to get anything done. I loved a t-shirt I saw the other day. Complete sidetrack here. T-shirt was obviously by a Chevy driver. Okay. And what, I don't know if it was a t-shirt or if it was I think it was a post, but in any event, clearly by a Chevy driver. And the guy posts, he goes, my son is doing a social experiment for the next 2 weeks. Right? He's wearing a shirt that says, I love Fords. Now, he's been at it for the last 2 days. He says he's been sworn at. He's had things thrown at him. He's been spit at. You know, he's been treated absolutely like garbage. Then he goes, I wonder what's going to happen when he leaves the house. Now, you know, from your standpoint, take a look in the mirror. Okay. Ask yourself, are you content with you? Okay. This young lass that I've talked about before, Sweet Maria, she has, now I'm not one to get a tattoo, period. Okay. I figure it ain't going to happen. But she's got some phenomenal artwork all down her one sleeve. Right. You know, and like I told her, it's excellent artwork. I've always liked tattoos as far as their appearance goes. You know, and we have to look at things. You got to look in the mirror and go, are you content with you? Are you content with your progress? And what do you consider success? Now, the most difficult job in existence, in my opinion, okay, and it comes with no functional training, okay, and most parents are missing it all, are missing the training. They're forgetting about doing it for the kids. Okay, as it was put, we don't raise children. Okay, we're raising adults. Okay, the most difficult job in existence, and you don't get much in the way of a promotion for it. Okay, and that is taking care of a house, taking care of a home. This is a way, there are a lot of people that is a mark of success. For me, I will consider my house run properly when all the finances are running smoothly and all my clutter is out of the way. Thus far, great success in getting the finances doing what they should. I'm still way behind where I'd like to be, but that's because of a investment that I made. Okay, so that's just the way that is. You know, for me, it really boils down to an issue of, when I've got these markers, you set a goal, break it down into 15-minute to half-hour tasks, and then get the job done. But like I said, 4 steps in it. You've got to have a purpose. You've got to have a plan. You've got to be persistent with the following of said plan. And you've got to have the patience to let it take its time. You know, putting it in real simple terms, the purpose is, I desire to make a cake. Trust me, if I desire a cake made, I'll talk to somebody else. Get them to make it. But you go to make a cake. So that's your purpose. You've got to have a plan. Here's the ingredients and the recipe. Okay. You've got to be persistent. You've got to follow it. Okay. I can understand that all too well there, dog face. You know, so there's nothing worse than forgetting what your night is, especially if you passed out drunk. What did I do that I'm not recalling? And rest assured, your memory is dead solid. Okay, your memory is absolutely solid. It's your recall you're having trouble with. Okay, so you've got to have the plan. Here's the recipe. Here's all the ingredients. Here's the plan. Then you've got to have the persistence. In other words, follow the plan the way you laid it out. Get all the ingredients in the right order. Mix them in the right way. Get them into the oven at the right temperature. This is all part of the plan. But then you've got to have the patience. Because I'll tell you, you put a cake in the oven for 5 minutes, you yank it out, you're getting what you put in. It might be warm on the top, but I wouldn't hold my breath. Okay, so you've got to have the patience for the effort to actually come to fruition. That's the same as your life. You've got to have a purpose for what you're aiming at. For me, it's getting rid of all the stuff I don't require anymore. It's making sure that I have things on track so I can look at them and go, this is what I'm doing. Okay, this is what I'm aiming for. It's getting rid of the dead weight people around me. Okay, and rest assured, since I've got virtually nobody around me, that's a small number. Okay, I've already done most of that. But getting to the point where I don't have to think about what I'm doing. I desire to go and do it. I go. Either that or you went to the casino and locked out. It will be entertaining to find out what you went through there and what you actually got yourself into. And since the cops aren't on the doorstep, this is a good thing. Okay. You know, the fact is, Dogface, you had a search party show up. Presumably these were friends of yours. Okay, and this is why you have friends. So when you do make a mess, somebody can come along and say, hey, here you go. And fill in that hole. Because I know from personal experience, forgetting what you've been doing is an annoying thing. Now, I was lucky. I was never so drunk I forgot what I was doing. Forgot where I was quite often, but I do that while I'm stone cold sober. Forget when I was, I can do that in a heartbeat. You know, I keep an eye on the live stream here, so I know what I'm dealing with. But when you're looking at moving forward, now if you're having trouble figuring out how to alter the path you're on, as far as specifics go, absolutely turn around and drop me a line. Okay, I've been doing this for years for people. We can help put you on the track that is right for you. Now, there's a whole list of ways of getting a hold of me underneath this video. Okay, and as you've seen, I do not very often. There's two people that I do actually specify their name on air with, because both have given me permission to do so. Okay. You know, the reality of it is, from my standpoint, if you've got questions, drop me a line. If you've got comments, I'd love to hear them. I'm glad you guys have shown up today, and I'm going to get in the habit of actually letting people know ahead of time. This is a question of figuring out how to market. Not exactly my strongest suit for me personally. Okay, but again, there's a lot of reasons that might be behind that. But can you take your life from where it is and be as successful as you personally desire? Absolutely. Okay, one of the biggest things you got to remember is, yes, writing, it's a big market, you know, but people can make money writing, singing, dancing. All of the creative arts can make money. Do not let people tell you they can't, that you can't. I mean, absolutely, it will take effort. Absolutely, it will. And quite often, you'll spend more trying to get off the ground. It's front end expensive. Okay. These are just some of the things you have to realize. But get your heart set on what you feel drawn to and make a go of it. One step at a time. Break your goals down into smaller tasks and get organized. Because the more organized you are, the easier the energy flows, the better off things are going to go. Okay. But you've got to look in the mirror and go, I'm content with me. This is who I am. This is what I'm doing for me. The money's got to become a secondary issue. It absolutely has to become a secondary issue. Now, just to give you a heads up, guys, I just came to the conclusion of what I'm going to be dealing with next week, which is going to be a little different. Let me just double check that before I run off here. Just looking at the calendar to find out. Okay, next week is still in August, so that's good. So next week, I'm going to be dealing with something completely out of this world. Kind of ties into the same thing, but I'm going to be looking at the Draconian Empire and the way it broke apart, resulting in 3 new species evolving. Okay, I'm going to go straight off the planet into a much bigger form of empire. So is there a link between the two? Absolutely. But I'll be doing that next week. and absolutely let people know I will be advertising and I'm hoping to get things a little bit more active. But like I said, they go through the same things we go through. Now, with this in mind, now that I've made that nice little announcement, with this in mind, I'm going to bring this to a close. We're hitting the 2-hour mark here. I think I've been on for just about 2.5. Oh, wait a minute. Hold that thought. I've been on for 2 hours, but the clock itself, I'm still 20 minutes away. So not going very far. Yeah, my apologies. Remember that thing about not tracking time well? Well, I've got, yeah, there's an idea. Grab my pen and start pointing out on my monitor what you're looking at. Okay. But up in the top left corner, I've got the length of time I've been on the air. Okay. But the clock is down in the bottom left, in the bottom right. Okay. So, yeah, I'm still here for a bit. But next week, I'm going to be dealing with the Draconian Empire, with the Drakes, and where that led to. Okay. And how expanding things can be a bit of a problem. And here's where I come back to the other side of this. I'm going to be running a company. Okay. Bad news, bad news, dog face boy. I've been on for 2 hours. You've been here for about 5 minutes, maybe, but it is now It's now 9:40. I actually came on at about 7:45, but not going anywhere yet anyway. But I'm going to be building. I'm going to put all this in place, and I will walk through it with you as things change, as I make adjustments. The important factor from my end is you've got to take a look in the mirror and go, this is how I feel. This is what I desire. Okay. You're not in this to make everybody else happy. Okay. Like I said earlier, I do make everybody I meet happy. Some people by showing up, most of them by leaving. Okay. But starting August 1st, I brought on board an assistant to help me. Okay, and I will be building this empire. There is no question, but it's going to be built based on the books, which is why I'm starting the writing. While I've got the other 14 on the go already, okay, I'm adding a 15th to the list. Okay, that being believe in your success and follow your dreams. You yourself have just as much likelihood of succeeding as everybody else. Now, I shot myself in the foot, in my opinion, a number of years ago, and I looked at this one chap, Colonel Sanders, and went, he was 65 when he started his first chicken stand. I figured, okay, I've got until I'm 65. I'm still ahead of the game. Well, I ignored everything. I sat still. Here I am, 59. Okay, I'm 59 right now. And by the time I'm 65, I intend to be nicely seated, where I'll carry on doing what I'm doing. I'm not planning on bringing this to a close anytime soon. So I'm going to be going back through the finances and what have you. Don't think I'll be working on horoscopes today. Yeah, see, unfortunately, what I found, and this is just personal opinion, we've got KFCs up here. But in my personal opinion, their quality has gone through the floor. Mind you, I've found a lot of companies where their quality has gone through the floor. And absolutely, I will ask you guys to be very direct. If I'm doing something that you feel would help, that you feel is hindering what I'm aiming for, which is ultimately building this recovery center, that could be years down the road. It's going to be a while, but building the recovery network, that's another issue altogether. Okay, because obviously with 7.9 billion people out there, okay, there's a lot of people that are walking in a pretty dark and dusty place, if you will. And it's I'm not the only one out there that can help. but working together, we can make this a better world. Okay, but you've got to take care of your home first, of your local area. Okay, local area for me is this big, this room I'm in right here. Then I start expanding out to the other end. Football. The answer to that, when we're talking a very basic outline right now, it will include traditional medical hospitals or medical doctors, what they call naturopaths, what they call New Age, okay, what they call, what people call their own personal, personal remedies, home remedies, as it were. The education to go with them. Okay, recovery counseling for recovery, and I mean methods that actually work. And the reason I call it work, the reason I say they work, is these are methods that I know personally have worked for multiple people. Okay. The reality of it is there is a lot. Good morning, JCL. Glad you made it. When I'm talking recovery, you take any illness, and illness, by the way, does not mean, oh, you've got a cold or, oh, you've got cancer. An illness can be, and quite often is, depression. Okay. Self-motivation, self-worth. You're having trouble getting your own house worked out. You haven't figured out how to reorganize. So we will be dealing with that sort of thing. Okay. And this is where a lot of these books come and a lot of the writing I do. Because I cannot be, and many people ask the same questions. Okay. We will be opening things like, and this again is a massive undertaking. This is not going to happen overnight. But if I know people and get their go-ahead, I will set up a referral bank through when I get my actual business site up and running. I mean, I'll start working on it with in the Facebook page and with my LinkedIn page, and start putting links out for people that have what I know, what I personally feel are quality work that I would turn around and go to. Okay. I'm figuring, see, now my own outlook on that, JCL, is every Saturday's perfect. Every day is great. As long as we got weather, we're in good shape. Okay. But while you're working, just a thought. Think about plan in your own head. Pay attention to your job. Get it done properly. But let your mind plan out what you're going to do, how you're going to enjoy yourself afterwards. Work is, in my opinion, a means to an end. Okay. But in all fairness, if you're enjoying what you do, then it doesn't feel like work anymore. But you've got to get an idea in your own head as to what you're aiming for. What is success to you? I am finding getting started going live first thing in the morning works really well to get my day up and running. I don't know if during the week I'll be on for 2 hours. It looks like I'll probably only come on for an hour to start with. Right. Because I don't get a whole lot accomplished. But I've got a lot of things on the go. And when I'm writing, considering when I start to actually write any one of the books I'm working on, I've got usually 8 or 10. Oh, that's what I was looking for first. Finally got around. I forgot about it. I had a program running here. For me, and I can't speak for everybody else there, Dogface. For me, it's 10 to 10 in the morning. Okay, which puts you 7 hours behind us. Or you're on the outside of the planet, you're even further ahead. Whereabouts are you there, Dogface? I know it's 3 a.m. where you are. Oh, okay, so you're way on the other. You got to be over in Africa somewhere or something. Oh, that's why. Yeah, okay. That makes total sense. Trying to remember where everybody is always fun. But I figure I'm doing my best. The one time I will not come online, that I will not come on live, is I won't come on live Monday to Friday from 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. at night. I won't be online, and most of the nights after I get off shift, I pass out. Because, well, that's my life. Okay. And, the thing is, get an idea in your head where you're aiming for. Okay, that's the only person you actually have to aim to actually get content with. Yeah, I know, I move around a lot right now. The 2 office chairs I had were creating such a problem because I couldn't move them anyway that I decided to get rid of them. And right now I'm sitting on a dining room chair. See, the thing I look at is this. I've got a vision in my head, and it's a lot bigger than some people. It's a lot smaller than others. But, I think. But, like I told the corporation I just sent a letter to, I'm a very small fish in a very big pond. Okay, but the reality of it from my standpoint is very simple. The fact I'm just a single person, just an individual, makes me no less valuable than a major corporation. The reality is, corporations, politicians, superstars, none of them do it if you're not there. I wouldn't have people listening to me if the people like you were not there. And this is why I say, and why I'm asking you, and certainly be blunt. Okay, if there's something I'm doing that could be done better, let me know. Something that would make it more interesting or, more enjoyable. I mean, an easier way to understand what I'm talking about. Absolutely let me know. Okay. Now, I've made the mistake before of trying to adjust for one person. It ain't going to happen. But I will look at everything that's suggested, and if it fits with what I'm ready to do, I absolutely will. The important factor from my standpoint is I intend on the policies that I'm building here, and I've got a list of policies. I think I'm added in here already. That's the profit sharing. Profit sharing is laid out. My word of mouth advertising, my expenses are laid out. This is my living expenses. And then we have here, that's actually the word of mouth. That's actually the formula. Okay, so I've got these. The next thing I'll be doing today, as a matter of fact, while I'm talking to you here, I might as well get it set up to go over it. What is that? That is not what I require. So we go to this one. Oh, of course. Oh, I know how to do that. We just go this. We scroll up there and we open desktop in another window. Yeah, this is live. This is the way my mind works. Or doesn't. I'm not entirely certain which. Okay, got the other one open. So, go into that file. Go into the business itself where I have my policies. Okay, just open up a file. These are policies I have to rework in order to make sure that everything runs in the right order. Okay. Got that shrunk down. Move that out of the way. That can be minimized. Okay. In this policy, some people call it a policy book. This applies to your own life and to a business because, like I said, running a house is the same as running a business. You still have to take consideration of your rent, your lease, your utilities. All these are the same things. So I've got to modify this today. Okay, I've already got the profit line laid out. Okay, and the way to deal with bills and that sort of thing. All a policy book has. You put the date down, what the policy is, why you made the policy. And then every 6 to 8 months, I'm doing it every quarter. Okay, I'll be doing it every 3 months and going, okay, these policies all still hold a value. Now, one of the obvious policies that would change with the company, go back 40 years. Maybe not that far, but the policy used to be fax everything out everywhere. Okay, or send a letter. In today's world, we don't have faxes and the fax machines on the whole. Okay. See, that's unfortunately now people keep talking about how do you stop inflation? Well, that's easy. You stop raising prices. Now, the government, they keep talking about we're trying to combat inflation. If they really want to stop inflation, I'll tell you right now, limiting what corporations do won't make any difference. If you freeze your prices, then the inflation stops cold. Now, to me, this is just cut and dried. It's just black and white mathematics. I mean, from my standpoint, the reality is, dog-faced boy, I will not be buying a house for one reason. I'd also have to hire all the people to take care of it because I don't have a background in trades. And if I do drive a nail straight, frankly, I drove it by accident. Okay. But if you're looking, we look at inflation, everybody says the inflation keeps going up. We've got to raise prices. If, you use simple common sense, basic mathematics, if you stop raising prices, inflation doesn't go up anymore. Okay, it's just that simple. But this is why I say money has to be a side effect, not a goal. Okay, now I'm not against anybody making better money. Okay, well, there is one group I'm a little against. Okay, that's counterfeiters. I'd prefer them not make better money. But, what the heck? So when you're looking at your life, when you're looking at the way things go, and that would be the important factor. The sign of a good CEO, of a good boss, is not that they know everything. It's that they know how to find the people that know how to do the things they don't know how to do. The person I turn to for technology, for handling simple technology things, is my other half right now. Now, the silly part is, I've been working on computers since 1979. I still can't get my head around them right. Okay, she's younger than I am. She's got one little hiccup. She's 100% blind. And yet she can walk me through technological problems. Okay. When I have a mechanical problem, I've got a mechanic I go to. This is what you do. You find the people that can do what you can't. And this is why I say, working together, we can make this work. Okay, but it is going to take the effort of each and every individual. Every one of you has to do the work to become successful yourself. Am I likely to take up doing what some people have suggested and sit still while I'm talking and look directly into the camera? I wouldn't hold my breath. Okay, because it just doesn't work that way for me. But rest assured, I will keep you posted with the books as they're coming along. Okay. I'm sending off some of the guidelines for the pictures I'm looking for Races of the Worlds Volume 1 to get the reprint done. Okay, I've got to go back through it and make sure I've got it on track and bring all of that into alignment. But that being said, like I said, next Saturday, I will be talking about the Draconian Empire, how it expanded, where it made the mistakes, and what was the resulting side effect. Okay, I figure I'll get into a different line this time. Okay, see what happens, but I will be doing better as far as letting people know what's coming a few days ahead of time as well. Okay, and see if we can get things a little more active. Okay, see if we can reach a few more people. That is ultimately, because it doesn't matter what I'm trying to do. Even the healing center will not matter at all if people don't know about it. So I had to get it straight in my own head, first and foremost, that I have just as much power, just as much right to be successful as the people running the major corporations, as the people running the countries. Okay, I am no, and you are no less valuable than anybody else out there. Do not give the satisfaction to anybody of buying into that. Now, you may have your own holdups. I've got mine. You're not perfect. I'm not perfect. But the reality is that you do have the potential of doing a phenomenal amount of good. Okay. And it's time we start looking at that. That question there, Dogface, boy, I picked up a whole bunch. I've just laid out a battle scene here. I'll be working on a lot of the painting. Show you one real quick since you asked. Although he's being changed. Okay. This character here. This is one of those times when I picked a character that I'm going to utilize while I'm working on writing. Now, this guy here, okay, I'm changing his cloak to black. Haven't decided on the rest of the robe, but the cloak itself will be turned to black. Okay, this character is the one I will be using for a character. Now, if you read the Birth of the Wolf Pack, there's a gentleman in there called, there's a character in there called Jeremiah Wolfstrand. This chap is from an earlier book. This guy's name is, this is the one that represents Billion Belenderos. Now, Billion, over time, like I said, with the Yldrbac Chronicles, I do deal with past lives and new lives and what have you. He will take on the name of Jeremiah Wolfstrand down the road. But for the purpose of laying out battle scenes and what have you, this character here, and I know you can't see much of the detail right now, but he is getting painted more today. Like I said, I'm changing the cloak to black, right? But that staff is as close to and that's not actually a staff. Can't remember exactly what it's called, but that particular thing he's holding on to is a reasonably close rendition of the Dragon Star staff that he carries. So I'll be using him for layout, but I'll be working on him today as far as paint goes. And as a matter of fact, I should make that note for next week or for sometime this week. Actually, I should probably do that during the week while I'm at it. But I will show you how he's progressing because I've got to start making headway with that as well. Now, with this in mind, I've got a whole pile of things I got to get to. I really appreciate you guys coming by. Okay, we are now 10 o'clock Pacific, which is where I close this down because I've got meetings and other things I've actually got to get to today. So, thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you again. I undoubtedly will be on the air live for the foreseeable future. Okay, Saturdays I am leaving to the 2-hour run. The rest of it, if I make it to the hour, an hour or two, call anything that we get above the half hour a bonus or a curse, take your pick. In any event, I got to get going. So thank you so much for being here. Glad to see y'all. And until we meet again, take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.